Hey smart people, Toby Salami here. Have you ever wondered if it was possible for you to do this from the front end? Like to change your Woocommerce order status like so, like to change it, for example, to completed and click on change order status. As you can see in the back end from processing, if we refresh this, processing now changes to completed and it just works seamlessly. If you do the same thing to the second order here by changing it to cancelled, for example, and clicking on change order status, nothing like a page reload happens, but if you come to the back end and refresh this orders page, you see that that second order changes the way you want it to, right there. It just works. Now I'm going to show you how you can do all of this and more in this video. Now if you're not too sure if this is a feature you're going to need in the future, I demand two things from you. Number one, you need to stick around and watch this video till the end because you're going to learn a thing or two whether or not you're ever going to need this particular feature. Number two, you need to subscribe to this YouTube channel if this is the kind of content you're interested in, because every week I release videos covering the creation of dynamic WordPress applications on WordPress. If this is the kind of stuff you're interested in, you should absolutely subscribe. Without further ado, let's get to it. Here are the following plugins you're going to need. You're going to have to install a page builder of your choice. For me, I have Elementor installed. I have also the Pro version. If you want, you can make use of Gutenberg or make use of BricsBuilder. Any page builder you use here, as long as it supports JetEngine, is fine. Next, you want to install BitIntegrations. You can make use of the free version to have some limited access to certain integrations. BitIntegration allows you to connect multiple different platforms and apps together, like Woocommerce with your forms or whatever you need to connect with something else. I'm going to show you a lot more about that in this tutorial, so just stick around and I'll explain it to you. I have the Pro BitIntegrations plugin installed here, and the reason for that is because my form builder of choice in this case is JetFormBuilder, and the integration with JetFormBuilder is a Pro feature, but of course you can make use of Elementor forms if you use Elementor to achieve the same thing for free using the BitIntegrations free plugin. You want to install this from the WP repository at no cost, but I recommend you get the lifetime license of BitIntegrations Pro, as this will help you to connect to more than 240 platforms and counting at no extra cost in the future. Link is in the description. And by the way, thanks to BitIntegrations for bringing this tutorial to you. Next, I have Check and Log Email installed here. This plugin is just installed so I can check all emails that are outbound. In other words, I want to check all emails that are going out of my site without having to go to the different email addresses or different email inboxes to which the emails are sent. This is just to show you which emails are sent out and when they're sent out to where. You have JetEngine here, which kind of like is the backbone of this connection because it helps us build our queries and also help us show our orders in the front end. You have the JetEngine Dynamic Tables Builder plugin here, which is activated by coming inside of modules by JetEngine. If you come inside of the JetEngine dashboard here and scroll down, you see under external modules that you have Dynamic Tables Builder there. Next, I have JetFormBuilder installed here. You can make use of BricsBuilder forms or Elementor forms to achieve the same thing, but I just want to show you how to do this inside of JetFormBuilder because it's bit builder agnostic. In other words, you can make use of it in multiple page builders without relying on any specific builder. And finally, we have Woocommerce here, which I have no need to explain to you why we have it installed. That's the entire reason for this video. I want to show you how you can manage your Woocommerce orders in the front end by connecting your forms with your orders. The first step to getting this done is the easiest, and it's simply a query of all our orders. Keep in mind, first of all, that under Woocommerce here, if you click under orders, you can see the number of orders I already have on the site. 2 orders, one from Toby Salami and one from John Doe, both of them 47 and 46 minutes ago. And if you do not believe in time travel, I want to convince you that it's a phenomenon that actually does exist. And that's not the purpose of this tutorial, but let's just refresh this and see that it actually does happen. Because once we refresh this, you see these are both 48 minutes ago. And I'm not sure what happened there, but okay, we can move on. The point here is we have 2 orders. John Doe and Toby Salami made 2 orders 48 minutes ago, regardless of time travel. Now, we want to come down here inside of JetEngine and click on Query Builder because we want to create a query that fetches these 2 orders for us. To do that, we want to click on Add New. Once we click on Add New, we want to give this query a name. I'm just going to call it Query of all orders on the site. And that sounds like a good name, good enough to describe what we need to do. We want to leave this as a post query because orders are posts, technically, inside of the WordPress database, right? Let's see. If we come down here to post type and we select here orders, just want to type in orders and select that. On the post status, we want to click on any. Take note that we have more than the regular number of post statuses we usually have with any other WordPress post. We have pending payments, processing, on hold, completed, and so on. We're going to come to this in a bit, so just keep it in mind, okay? First of all, we want to select any because we want any and all orders on the site to be fetched in right here. Next, we want to click on preview results because we want to see that all the orders are fetched and we see the result count is 0. But why is that happening? Because as I just showed you, there were 2 orders, right? Well, this is because of something called Woocommerce High Performance Order Storage. That fancy name simply means that Woocommerce has taken all of our orders that were previously stored inside of posts, inside of the post type of orders, and moved them to separate tables. And that makes it impossible for me to fetch this here by using this query. Except, of course, I go and use the SQL query, and I don't want to do that. I don't feel like doing an SQL query today, so I'm going to do something very simple. First off, I want to click on Add Query, just so this query stays while I move around. I want to come inside of WooCommerce. I want to come to Settings. Just click on Settings, and inside of the WooCommerce Settings, you want to come to Advanced. Inside of the Advanced, you want to make a change to one setting. Awesome. We want to come here to Features, click on Features, and you want to come down here to Order Data Storage. Now, as you can see, it's stored inside of the high performance order storage tables there, right there. And it says it's recommended, and we agree it's recommended. But we need it also inside of the WP post so that we can query our stuff the way we normally would, right? So we want to come back inside of here and toggle on Enable Compatibility Mode. As you can see here, it says that there are 2 orders out of sync. And that is right. Because now after we click on Save Changes and this whole page refreshes, we see it's currently syncing orders to pending. Now, what it means is that it's trying to move all of the orders, that is, those 2 orders, from the custom tables into this table in which we can very, very easily fetch our stuff from, right? Let's see if it's done syncing by just toggling off preview results and toggling it back on. Now we see we have 2 results here, and that is good because now we see our 2 orders are ready for us to query and use it inside of our tables. Now we can toggle that off, we can update our query and go to the next step of creating our table. To create our table of orders is pretty simple. All we need to do is scroll down here and come to Tables Builder. Remember, you had Tables Builder activated inside of the modules in JetEngine. Inside of Tables list here, you want to click on Add New. Once you click on Add New, you want to select the query you just created. Recall that the query you just created is query of all orders on the site. So let's give, first of all, this table a name. We're just going to call it Table of All Orders. That seems descriptive enough. We want to select the query, which is query of all orders on the site, and want to click on Fetch Data. This is just going to check that the query is working the way it should and fetch some data we can use to structure the table for ourselves. So let's come inside columns now and click on New Column. The first column here would be the order name. I'm just going to call it order name because, of course, what we really need to fetch in here is just simply the post title. And we know that because if we come back inside of the query here and toggle on preview results, we see that the post title here is the order name. It kind of has the order, a dash, and the date of the order and the time of the order. That seems okay for us because now we can simply come inside of the tables builder and select that particular column. We come to raw value on the column content. We're going to come to the data source and check under the fetched column and see that the column post title is fetched into order name. That's good. The next thing we want to do is fetch the order ID just for displaying purposes and so we can see what order specifically we're fetching. So order ID, we're going to select again raw value. We're going to come down here to fetched column and under select column, we're going to fetch the ID. and that is good. The last column is a column that's going to help us to make changes to this particular order. In other words, it's going to carry a select field and a button to help us change the status of this order. So let's just call this order status change. Is that good enough? I'm not too sure. Let's call it change order status. I mean, we just rearranged the words, but that's okay. Now we want to come to column content and leave it as is for now, because first of all, we're going to create a form that's going to exist inside of that last column there. And since I'm using JetFormBuilder, I'm going to create that form right here. I'm going to click on Add New, and inside of the Add New form page here, I'm just going to give my form a title. So let's give it a title. The title we want to give it is Change Order Status. Anything of this nature is fine. As far as it doesn't break the law of thermodynamics, it's fine. We're going to click on Start from Scratch. Let's take all these default fields off. Let's delete them one by one. Good. Now, let's add our form fields as we need them. The first form field we need is a hidden field. So let's just add a hidden field. Now, inside of the hidden field name, we're just going to give it order ID. That's what we want to call it. And we want it to fetch the current post ID because, of course, the post ID, in this case, is the order ID, and that is good, right? After adding that hidden field, the next thing we want to create is a select field. So let's just add a select field here. What are we selecting? We're selecting the order status. Good. Where do we fetch that from? First of all, let's go back inside of the query and see how it is rendered. If you recall, when I was showing you the post statuses, you see you have multiple post statuses here that, of course, are the order statuses such as processing, on hold, completed, pending payment, and so on. You can grab all of this and put them inside of the form here. You can add them manually, or you can be smart like me and fetch them into a glossary, like so. You want to come inside JetEngine, and you want to select under here the glossary option. Once you select the glossary option, you want to add a new glossary. I've already gone ahead to do so, and I've already added 3 different order statuses types here. You can see them here. You can see processing as WC processing. That's what we have here. The field value is WC processing. The label is processing. Just exactly the way you see it. Just fetch them inside of there. Type them inside of there one by one like that. For now, I only chose to use 3 statuses here just because I don't want to bug you with a lot of statuses at the moment. I just want to give the client the ability to change between 3 different statuses. You can add more here as long as you're committing no sin. You want to come inside the form here, and instead of manual input, you want to select glossary. And of course, I want to select the glossary I created, which is the Woo order statuses. And that is good, because now we're getting somewhere. First, we have our order ID fetched inside of a hidden field. Second, we have the statuses that are possible. The possible statuses, we have them all here. That's good. Now, we can hit publish. The next thing we want to do is connect this form with BitIntegrations. And the reason why we want to do that is the entire reason why BitIntegration exists. Because there is no way for us to use a post submit action here that directly connects with the orders and makes changes to the order statuses. And this is just one scenario. There are multiple hundreds of scenarios where 2 apps don't just connect with each other. And we need a bridge, such as BitIntegrations, to help connect us with those 2 apps, such as with JetFormBuilder and with Woocommerce. And we're going to do that right now. We want to come inside of BitIntegrations here. When you land on the BitIntegrations page such as this, you're going to be met with a page such as this. The first thing you want to do is click on Create Integration. Now you want to select, first of all, the first app that you want to connect with the second one. The first app, of course, in this case is JetFormBuilder, so I'm just going to type in Jet there and select JetFormBuilder. Now, once that is selected, as you can see, a webhook URL is created for us. We can very easily click on copy here and come back inside of the form and connect both of them together. Now, we're just going to come back inside the form and click on New Action. Inside of here, you want to select Webhook. Click on Webhook and come here to webhook URL and paste that URL inside of there. this is all looking good for us. We can leave the timeout in seconds the way it is. Of course, this is a standard timeout. What this simply means is that if after 10 seconds of trying to contact this URL, nothing is returned, then the form fails. So this is what matters to us. We've put it inside of there. We want to click on Update and click on Save. We're almost done. Hold on to your horses. We're almost done. Let's come inside the edit page and let's just put the form on the page. JetForm, drag that inside of here. Of course, you want to use whatever form you previously created for this. For me, I chose JetForm and that's what I'm using. So let's just select the order status form there. Once that is selected, we're almost done. Because now that I realize we don't have a submit button, we really should add that, shouldn't we? But first, let's just hit publish and come to the front end and see the form is showing right here. Once we refresh this, we see that the form is showing the way it should. It's showing all of the order statuses that we fetch from the glossary. Everything appears to be working just fine. Let's come back inside the form here and let's add a submit button. And that button, as you can see, is called an action button. We can drag that inside of here and that should be good. Let's give it a name that makes sense. Instead of submit, let's give that change order status and we hit save. Now, if I come to the front end and refresh this page, you see that we now have that button right here. Clicking on this button should fire and send an information straight to that webhook that we created with BitIntegrations. But first of all, we need to come inside of the BitIntegrations and tell it that we're gonna send something its way. The way to tell it that is to click on Fetch. Now, as you can see by this circle spinning icon here, it's saying, hey, we're waiting for something here. Let's see if we get something. So let's come to the front end again and click on change order status. It doesn't matter the other status there. We just need to send something over here. And as you can see, it grabbed a lot of information from that form. It grabbed a number of things that I cannot even begin to read right here. But what we're interested in is down below. If we scroll all the way down, we see that we have here the order status, which sent over to us the WC processing, which is the value for this particular order status. We sent it here. We also see that we have the order ID, which is currently 2. And that doesn't make much sense because it's currently fetching the page ID as the ID. But we're going to come to that later. What we really are interested in is that it's sending these values in, and it's doing just that, as we can see. Next, we want to click on Set Action. Now, what should happen with all of the information, all of the data retrieved from that webhook? We need to use that to modify the Woocommerce orders. Now, it means inside of the actions, we need to type in Woocommerce. We're going to select Woocommerce inside of here. And inside of the integration settings, we're going to give the integration a name. What we give it here really doesn't matter. I'm just going to call it change order status again. Next, I'm going to click on connect. It's checking if Woocommerce is active. It sees it's active. As you can see, it's connected. We want to click on next. Now on the module, we want to select change order status. And this makes absolute sense because this is where we're going, isn't it? We're going to select the filter. The filter simply is what is going to help us to select a specific order. Recall that we got the current post ID inside of our form. And although it currently doesn't work because the form is placed in the wrong place, we have a placeholder for what will store our order ID. Inside of order ID here, we want to grab the post ID from the form, and that's we called order ID. If you recall, inside of the form here, we have our order ID fetching the current post ID, so it's good. Now, if you come back inside of your integrations here, you want to see that the order status is also mapped correctly. It should be mapped, of course, to order status, which we created inside of our form here, and fetch that from the glossary. It's all looking good for us, isn't it? We want to click on next now. And once we click on next, you see that the integration is successful. We want to click on finish and save, and we're pretty much done. Oh, we're not done yet. There are a few things we need to adjust so that it works just the way we want it to. Recall that when we were creating the tables previously, we said that the column for change order status will be replaced with the form so that the current post ID would actually fetch the current order ID. But how do we get that form inside of here so that it correctly fetches the order ID and also changes the order statuses correctly? Well, that is pretty simple. What we need to do is come back inside the edit page. Now, you notice that inside this edit page, if we just toggle open the structure here, you see that we have a container inside of which this JetForm exists. We can just simply right-click on the container and click on Save as Template. Most builders have this, Bricks Builder has this, other builders also have this. You're simply creating a new template from your existing one. For this, we're just going to call it Change Order Status Form Holder. Whatever we want to call it is our choice. Once we click on Save, we can now very easily close this out and delete that form from inside of there, because what should be on this page should be a table and not a form, right? So we're going to click on Publish. Then we're going to come back inside of the dashboard here. Now let's select inside of here our Elementor template. We're coming inside of here because we're looking for something in particular, and that thing is simply the shortcode. This shortcode. This shortcode is supposed to hold our form. So it means we can use that shortcode inside of the table. And that makes good sense. Now, once we grab that shortcode by clicking on copy here, we can come inside of the table and come down here to column content and select raw value. Now, inside of data source, we want to select here whatever we intend to select. What we select here really doesn't matter. If we select fetch column, for example, and select the ID, it won't matter much because what we're about to do now is to toggle on custom column output. And we're going to paste in the shortcode, because now when we close it out and hit update table and we come back inside the edit page, we can very easily drag in the table here. So we're just going to select the dynamic table and drag it inside of here. Now we can select that table. The table is table of all orders, and you can see it fetched right inside of here. The order status and the button to change that particular order status. It's all looking good for us. We can hit publish, we can come to the front end, and we can refresh this and see how things are looking for us. If we come back inside of the orders here, let's just come to Woocommerce orders and see what we have here. We see that both of them are processing, and that appears to be fine here because processing is selected here, right? If we select maybe, that's for John Doe, as an example, we want to change this to completed and click on update. Let's come back inside the front end here and refresh the page and see if the completed status is updated here. As you can see, it doesn't appear to be working correctly because the order status shows processing here, but if you come back inside here to the particular order, you can see that that order is shown here as completed. So we need the correct thing to be selected. To do that, let's come back inside our form and we want to edit our form and check that the default value of each of these items here, like each of the items inside of the table, of course, should be the current status of that particular order. To do that, we want to select this default value, but we want to create a shortcode that fetches that default value for us. It's very simple. We're just going to come inside the JetEngine dashboard. We're going to come to shortcode generator here. And inside of here, we're going to select inside of the custom object field here, the post status. The reason for that is simple. The current order status is stored inside of the post status. If you look at the query here that we previously created, you see that inside of the query here, you have the post status as WC processing, and that should be correct because that shows that this particular order is processing, right? So let's grab post status because that's exactly what we need. We want to come back inside of the JetEngine shortcode generator and want to paste that inside of there. Let's just paste that here. Now, once you have that pasted there, you're pretty much done with creating your shortcode. You want to copy that and you want to come back inside of the form. You want to paste that shortcode inside of the default value here. And pasting that in here will fetch by default the current post status, and it's going to match it with the glossary and show that particular select field item. So we're going to save the form. We're going to come back inside the front end and see it work here by simply refreshing the page. And now it's all looking very excellent for us because you can see the order status here is completed and the one below is processing. Let's see if changing it in the front end here actually changes it in the back end using the power of BitIntegrations connecting our form with Woocommerce. So we're going to select here a different one, which is processing. And we're going to click on change order status. Now this page is going to reload because I didn't set this form to actually use Ajax to submit, but I can very easily change that here by simply coming back inside of the form and scrolling down here inside of the JetForm tab here. I want to scroll down here to where you have submit type and select Ajax. And I can click on save again and come to the front end. And now it's just going to submit the form without refreshing the page. You can notice that the order status stays as processing. And is that true? Let's come to the back end and see if it actually did work. We can refresh this page. This was the order that we previously edited and it was previously completed. We want to refresh the page and see if changing it in the front end actually did change it in the back end here. And as you can see, it did, because now the status is set to processing. We can check if things are supposed to be working the way they should, or if it's just making modifications in the database. Thankfully, BitIntegrations did it in such a way that everything that should work when you change it here, such as sending out emails and adding notes, as you can see here, all works the way it should. As you can see, the note for order status changing actually was added the way it should be added. And if you check the email that was sent out by using this, of course, you remember the plugin I installed previously to check my emails, we want to see if the email that is supposed to be sent out for when an order status is changed is actually being sent out. As you can see, the email was correctly sent out to my particular email address for this particular order just because I changed the order status and the front end. Let's come back to the orders page here and test this one more time because we want to be sure that this is working exactly the way we want it to. And now we want to be sure that it's working without even refreshing the page. Because as you recall, we changed the form submit type to Ajax. So we expect that if we change the order status of the second one, for example, to completed and click on change order status, it should all just work just like that. Let's confirm. If we come to orders and we refresh the orders page here, we see that the second one, as you can see down here, has now been changed to completed. This is all looking great. Inside of your table, you can fetch in an unlimited array of data here. This is all your choice. Whatever you need to integrate, you can use BitIntegrations to ensure that that particular integration is correctly fired. There are quite a lot of integration options here with BitIntegrations. Be sure to check it out and use the link in the description below to get a discount off your purchase of BitIntegrations. That's it, smart people. That's how you can create a front-end dashboard and manage your WooCommerce orders from there very easily. There's a lot more you can do with the integrations that BitIntegrations provides. You just have to try it out. You want to subscribe to my YouTube channel? Leave a comment below and share this video with at least one person. My name remains Toby Salami, and until next time, stay dynamic.